Well, good morning. I'm Kevin O'Connor, and welcome back to this old house here in Newton, Massachusetts, where we're working on a 110-year-old shingle-style house for our new homeowners, Paul and Maddie, and their two young sons. The shingle-style is actually a very familiar form here in New England. So later in today's show, our architect, Treff LaFleche, is going to take us to a stunning example of the shingle-style, and he's going to share with us all the great details that make these houses so wonderful. And we've got our own set of details to contend with here in this house. We've got a great collection of stained glass windows. So Jim Anderson, who restores stained glass, is coming by. He's going to tell us what we have, and he's going to get to work on restoring them for us. And while that's going on, Tom, you're out back here working hard on what's going to be a new back porch, right?
Right, Kevin. We're actually standing right here in the back of the house. Up there is a window to the kitchen.
Okay.
And we're making forms to support our new porch that's going to come off the back of the kitchen. It's coming out about 10 feet, and it's going to be 27 feet wide.
Back of the house, elevation right here. Where are we?
We are right here by this column.
Okay, so porch runs across the back of the house, off the kitchen, and you've got a new staircase coming down here. The first time we're going to really connect the back of the house to the backyard.
Exactly. Now the owners before, when they parked the car in the garage or near the garage, they either had to go around the front of the house or they could go through the basement door and up the stairs to get into the kitchen.
Long way to go, and even longer if you've got two kids in tow. So the new staircase is going to come in handy. It's going right here, and you've got some form work going in.
Right. We're actually making forms to put a level base for our new foundation to sit on.
Okay, so I understand the forms, but why is this corner of the house temporarily supported? What happened there?
Well, 100 years ago when the house was built, there was actually a brick pier that supported the corner of the house right here and another one over here. When we excavated for the new stair, we found there was nothing supporting those columns, so those fell.
That comes out. What's going to be the new support for this corner of the house?
Well, there's be a new foundation and a new wall that will hold up that new part of the house.
All right, foundations, walls, and pouring some cement today. All of that and more when we come back. So how many columns you have to deal with, Tommy?
We have 4 exposed columns.
All right, first one over here in the corner.
This is in the corner right here. Now, when we don't have ledge to deal with, Kevin, we simply dig down to a frost line.
Yep.
And then we make a level surface, make sure the soil is right, put in some concrete brick.
And what are these going to be for?
Well, I want to keep our mat, which is rebar right here.
So this one right here.
Right, this is 6 by 6 squares. We just wired them together. And we want this mat to sit in the lower third of the footing because that's the weakest part of the footing.
So we got to make sure that it's down there to sort of hold that together.
Right.
All right, but this is the case if you don't find ledge. West Newton Hill's got a lot of ledge. We found some, and that's going to come into play with our other columns, isn't it?
Exactly. We found a lot of ledge, and you're right.
So is it horrible news for the homeowner when we end up with ledge, or can we work with this?
Yeah, we can actually work with this. And we never have to worry about the ledge settling because it's deeper than our frost.
So we don't have to dig down so deep, and here it is. So
right.
We've actually just built around it.
So what we need to do is, we build our forms, but I need to pin the footing to the ledge because I don't want it to slide.
So you've got some short rebar right here.
Right.
Looks like you've already drilled a couple
2 holes. I
Yeah.
got to drill a couple more over here. Joe, drill a hole right here for me. Grab the hammer drill. Now what he's going to do is he's going to drill a hole in the ledge right here with a 1/2 inch masonry bit. Drill it down about 3 or 4 inches, Joe. All right, now I simply take the rebar and I drive it into the hole. Save that mat. Okay, now we're going to put the mat down on top of the brick because I want that to be in the lower third.
And I notice you've got some strapping that comes underneath the forms and wraps around to the outside here.
That holds the bottom from blowing out. I'm going to simply take a 2-by, nail it on the top, keep the top from blowing out. I nail it to the other side.
And with that in,
we're ready for the pour.
All right.
Before we can pour, we have to have all of these footings inspected.
So the inspector comes out, make sure that you've dug down deep enough, that your forms are set right, that you've actually got the rebar in there.
Exactly.
All right, so we got that approval. We're ready to pour it in.
Now we're ready to start filling the boxes.
We're lucky we had to get the truck in this far.
We try to get the truck in as close to the work as possible and then just use chutes.
Takes it the last couple feet.
The shovel, he's just working it around, getting all the air out of it. Make sure the concrete settles right down in there. Fill all the voids up. There's one.
glass footing here.
That's right, and you can see how the concrete conforms to the ledge and goes right around those pins and the rebar.
So it's really pinning it in there. That's not going anywhere.
Not going anywhere.
So in this case, we actually get to use the ledge. Of course, the other day when we found ledge, we were trying to avoid it. And that's when Roger was digging as he got started working on our new drainage system. Hey, Roger! Get the whole yard dug up back here. A lot of digging.
Every kid's dream, right?
You got it. What do you got?
Well, I actually got down 8 feet here, Kevin.
And why are we digging?
Well, we're going to do some drainage work in this yard. Remember, we have a lot of work going on, walls, patio, and we want to ensure that this yard's going to be dry. We're not going to put water into the neighbor's yard.
So, dry well.
Dry well.
Did you have to dig up the whole yard?
Well, I started over here, I dug there, everywhere. I dug 8 holes. I only get down 3 or 4 feet, and I hit ledge.
So that's not deep enough for a dry well.
Not deep enough for a dry well.
All right, but you said you got 8 feet over here.
Yeah,
so...
we made it down deep enough here, so I think we're going to be able to get a tank in here.
All right, so but it's only in this corner. Is this corner big enough for the dry well we're going to need?
Well, we got to figure that out, and that's why Mike Kosmo is here. Mike is our civil engineer. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
So Roger's got you digging ditches too, huh?
Yes, he
What are you working on down there?
dug this hole for me. Now I'm working on a perc test.
A perc test?
Perc test, right.
So this is actually measuring how fast water is going to percolate into the ground?
Exactly. What we'll do is we've dug a hole about 18 inches deep. We fill it to 12 inches with water, maintain that level for 15 minutes as the pre-soak. Then we time the drop down to 6 inches.
So you're actually timing how long it takes the water to drop down those 6 inches.
Yes.
And what's the final calculation?
The final calculation would be the average of the last 3 inches, and that'll give you the percolation rate in minutes per inch.
How many minutes it takes 1 inch of water to drop?
That's correct.
So when you say perc test, is this a similar test that I'm used to hearing about when someone's putting in a septic system?
Yes, it is. It's exactly the same test.
But Kevin, the difference is a septic system has a slow little volume of water coming out into the area. With our roof, we have 3,000 square feet. If we get a 1-inch rainstorm, we're generating over 1,800 gallons of water gushing down the hill.
Okay.
So we need to set up a system to control that.
Gotcha. All right, so we're going to get the same calculation, sort of the perc calculation. But when you've got that number, Mike, what are you going to do with it?
We'll take that number, the information that we've gathered today for the perc rate, the deep test information. We've done a topographic survey of the lot. We'll go back to the office and we'll design a drainage plan for the property.
As well as the size of the roof. Sounds like quite a bit of work.
It can get extensive, yes.
Can you give me a sense of how much it costs?
Oh, probably somewhere $3,500 ballpark.
It's a good chunk of change, Roger.
Yeah, but Kevin, remember we have terraces, walls, we have a lawn area. We don't want to have drainage problems back here when we're done. So to me, it's money well spent.
All right, point taken. Well, Mike, thanks for the help. I hope we get good results. How we doing?
Looks good so far.
All right. It's typical to find leaded glass on a shingle-style house. In fact, it would be typical to find it on most Victorians. Also typical is that you'd find that glass in a public place where your guests could enjoy it. And on our house, that means it starts right here on either side of the front door. This is a side light with clear glass and leaded scroll work here. And unfortunately, if you look way down here on the bottom, you can see that it needs some work. So we called on our old friend Jim Anderson. Hey Jim, good to see you again.
Hey Kevin, good to see you.
So you've had a chance to take a look at our windows. What have we got here?
These are typical American side lights. They're like very standard. They were in catalogs. You could buy them anytime.
Wow, really? That's
And
it?
they're in rough shape.
All right, so what is wrong with them?
They are loose. When I press my finger, I see it buckling around. They're cracked. They're missing rosettes.
There's one here, and you're saying there used to be more?
You can see up here, and up here there was one.
Okay.
And the lead is starting to deteriorate.
Well, they may have been typical back then, but they're pretty special to us.
Oh,
so we're going to
yeah.
be able to save these, right?
We will save them. We will take them apart and put them back together again.
And I notice here on the left of the door, you've already taken one out, so I assume these are on their way to your shop?
Yeah, these have to be repaired at our shop. They have to be taken out of the frames and laid out and all taken apart and put back together.
All right, we'll get them off the job site too during the construction. So if the front side lights are typical, how would you rate this one here? It's a little bit more flourished, a little bit more color.
This is a very American side light again. This is all made out of opalescent glass, something that Tiffany and Lafarge used. This glass was invented in America.
What is opalescent glass?
It's the milky quality you see in the glass. It was made, it makes it a little more opaque.
And your diagnosis of this window, I mean, even I can see that it's got quite a few cracks going through here. What do we need to do to this?
We have to repair the entire background, which means trying to get new glass to match. We're going to send off a piece to a place in New York and see if they can match it, and if they can't, we're going to have to replace the entire background.
So let me ask you, if you replace all the glass in this window, could that be the time a homeowner decides to change the color or maybe even go clear if they want?
Sure, but I don't know if I would do that considering we have a hallway window up here that matches.
Yeah, we do. It's almost a pair here, at least in color, very ornate.
And they both have the lead appliques as well.
Let's take a look at it.
And these windows were the showstoppers of the house. When you arrived in Boston in the turn of the century, you had a nice, beautiful hallway window like this.
Right in the stairway, everyone could see it. The entire party would enjoy it.
And this was very American.
What do you think of the condition? What do we need to do to this one?
This is a pretty good window. It's pretty strong. It's all there. There's a few cracks here and there, which we'll fix, and a few lead castings that need to be replaced.
Okay, and then clean it up for us?
We're going to clean it and put it back, and it's going to sparkle. Want to help me take it out?
Yeah, sure. We're going to pop this out.
Yeah.
So you removed the stops already?
Yeah, pull out that rope,
I'll get the cord here.
and then just put it down here.
Well, I'm going to take that as an invitation to come down to your shop and see how you actually do your magic.
Oh, sure. Look forward to seeing you, Kevin.
Well, last week we cut down this row of yews and we exposed our side porch. This massive wall of shingles, which is a common element in the shingle-style house. But it got us thinking, what else goes into the shingle-style form? Well, we're fortunate that we've got an architect who loves this style house so much, he actually bought himself one and restored it. And the other day when he showed us around, it was the perfect place to learn more about the shingle style. So this is a house you owned and you renovated. You literally brought this one back.
I did, Kevin. This house was covered in aluminum siding when we found it. It was ugly, and now look at it.
Oh, Treff, well, this is magnificent. Well,
Thank
it
you.
is hard to imagine that this was ever covered in aluminum.
This is a great example of the diamond in the rough underneath the aluminum siding.
Well, before we talk about the house, how about the front yard? What is going on with this giant ledge here?
Yeah, isn't this fantastic? This is everything you need to know about what West Newton Hill is built on.
This is good.
This is what we get. Back in the turn of the century, they just didn't have the ability to take this stuff out. Sometimes they didn't want to, so they just built a house around it.
All right. Well, let's talk about the house. Shingle style, obviously, and you're saying that this is a great example of shingle?
It is, Kevin. It's a perfect example of what I call the controlled chaos that is indicative of the shingle style. Lots of architectural forms, but all gathered together with that gentle, soft covering of the shingle.
Well, teach me a lesson. Let's talk about the architectural forms we see.
Okay, let's start right here at the front entry. Very symmetrical, very ordered, but pushed to the side. Then next to it is a soft, curvilinear gathering porch. Above it, a traditional 8/1 window. Then right next door is this very idiosyncratic 3/4 bay with diamond pattern windows and arch tops.
Yeah, sort of tapered off to the left and then it's just chopped off hard here on the right. And then above it, whereas the one below is sort of jutting out, this is now cut back in, this window bay.
Yes, and gives you that sense of the depth of the shingle, and the soft curve that turns the gable back to the face of the windows only could be done in shingle. Never could be accomplished in clapboard.
And so we've got some more forms over here as we move to the right.
That's right. Now we have the nice soft bay with its 6/1 windows rising up and striking into a traditional, rigorous pedimented front. But the resolution is with these deep shingled ears that produce a deep overhang.
So what you're saying is all these different forms, they'd be chaotic if the shingle didn't sort of pull them all together.
Pulls them all together. That's
Wow.
correct.
Good. Okay, and so now here we've got a big, wide, comfortable front porch, something we'd expect to see in this house.
So typical of this day and age. Very gathering together. It's very generous and very comfortable.
There are no balusters here along this front rail. It's just a solid mass of, again, in shingles.
Very monolithic, and look how they weave the corner. This is the way that they would do the corners, alternating the exposed end of the shingle by coursing.
No trim board. Well, great. Well, how about a peek inside?
Sounds good. Kevin, come into the Victorian reception hall.
Thank you.
Sit down. Make yourself comfortable.
All right. What a great room. Big. Now, how would this have been used?
Well, this was the reception hall. the matron of the house would greet her guests. She'd come down the staircase off to the right here.
A grand staircase. I could just see her coming down in a flowing dress, deciding whether or not she was going to receive me. Wait, this is a bit of a surprise. Was that always there?
Yes, this is not unusual for a house of this era. This is a fireplace that would bring warmth into the center of the house, keep the guests comfortable while they waited, and also give a little bit of architectural detailing and graciousness.
Well, it certainly does.
Now, this room typically was separated from the adjoining rooms by a series of doorways that would keep the heat inside the room, also reflective of the private aspect of the house. But one of the things we wanted to do was to change that, open things up visually a bit. Here was an opening that had some pocketed doors in them, and we decided to open this up with this half wall.
So get rid of this wall here, just leave it as a half wall. Now you've got some sight lines into the room.
That's right, gives us a wonderful view of our inglenook.
Oh yeah, and why would you want to deprive anybody the view of this? Oh, this is great.
Yeah, such a handsome spot. And then remember that curved wall on the outside?
Oh yeah, there it is.
Well, here we have it on the inside. It gives us a little bit more graciousness to this room.
Soft lines that lead you back to what is appropriately the centerpiece of this room.
And look at the wonderful craftsmanship that was so common of that era.
A great diamond pattern right here.
Yes, and it's echoed over here, Kevin, in this detailing on the columns.
Oh yeah, and in the windows, lots of natural light coming in through here.
Yeah, wonderful windows. Comparison of two different styles, the diamond pattern that is typical in the house, and over here, some wonderful bullseye glass leaded windows that flank each side of the fireplace.
Plenty of original details, all of them eclectic.
Yes. Now, Kevin, remember we were talking about that public and private domains of the Victorian era.
Sure.
The Victorians like to separate the private world from the public world.
Maybe some pocket doors to close off a room like they have here.
That's right. But today, we're a much more casual society. We like to visually connect our rooms together.
So here we have a formal dining room. You're saying at one point this would have been disconnected from the rest of the house, closed in?
Yes, separated from the back with the butler's pantry that would have a solid door.
Which would have been right here.
Yes.
But it's no longer solid. You've opened it up for us.
Yes, we've used some architectural detailing of half walls and decorative columns that is in the language of the original house, but much more visually open.
Now we can see right through it. You've got glass front cabinets so you can show off your china, your glassware. Down below, an accessible bar, maybe for your morning coffee. And again, you know, that sight line right from the back of the house all the way through, and in this case, into a very large kitchen.
And that's something we want to do with Paul and Maddie's house. We want to open things up to connect the new rooms with the old rooms.
Right.
And the Victorian kitchen was very much a kitchen of one, whereas today's kitchen is a kitchen of many. We all gather in our kitchens. We like to spend lots of time together in them.
Not hard to imagine a big family hanging out in this room. And it's connected to another room you've got in here. Looks like a family room. Oh, a sunken family room. So this is probably not original to the house.
No, you're right. This is new. We've added this, and we added the extra steps to bring in additional height and windows.
This is something that Paul and Maddie really want. Family room right next to the kitchen.
Yes, and I think we can accomplish that for them as well. And look how these columns, like we've talked about before, the half walls, the decorative quality about them, they frame the opening to the family room.
Okay. Nice choice of materials, stone around the sink. You've got a wood island top here. Is this mahogany?
It is mahogany.
And on the floors, I noticed it looks like a different species in the kitchen than the rest of the house. This all looks like oak out here.
You're right. Your right foot stands on the white oak that's original to the house. Your left foot, it stands on what is Brazilian cherry.
Why the change?
Well, we wanted to distinguish the kitchen a bit, set it off from the rest of the house. And the Brazilian cherry is an unusually hard version of cherry that works very well functionally in the kitchen.
High traffic area, good place to use it. All right.
Now, Kevin, the back staircase. That's another example of that private world of the Victorians, typically very separated from the rest of the house.
100 years ago, maybe the only people that go up and down a staircase would have been the servants.
That's right. But today, this staircase is the most direct route between the upstairs and the kitchen.
So why not show it off?
You're right. This is an example of opening things up to the rest of the house that we're trying to do over at Paul and Maddie's house.
So you take out this wall, you put some balusters in here, a little bit of a separation, but you can still see right through it.
Gives us a screening effect without losing the detailing.
Exactly what you want to do in Paul and Maddie's, connect that back staircase to the kitchen.
Now, Kevin, let me tell you the real reason why we bought this house.
There's more?
Look at this wonderful staircase. Come on up.
Oh, it is exquisite, isn't it?
Look at this gracious spot here. This is one of those bumps and grinds on the outside we had talked about earlier. Here we can come inside and actually sit and enjoy this space. It has a wonderful sense of canopy over the top. The wraparound windows, the built-in bench.
Yeah, unique, great character. You know, I love the similarities between the two houses. Both turn-of-the-century shingle style. We've got a lot of original detail that you preserve, but you've also changed this house so that we can live the way we live today.
That's right. I think we can do many of these same things over at Paul and Maddie's house and give that house a new life.
Well, I look forward to it, Treff. Thanks for showing me around.
My pleasure.
And the details are amazing, huh?
Aren't those windows wonderful?
Everywhere you turn.
Here in the backyard, we have a serious landscaping challenge. We have a 6-foot drop from finished grade up at the house all the way to the back of the lot, the very bottom. Now, to alleviate that grade, we're going to bring in a lot of fill, and we're going to terrace. We're going to build walls to hold that fill in place and give us a level area. But before we do any of the landscape construction, we want to evaluate all our trees. Well, Matt, what are you finding out?
Oh, Roger, we got all kinds of problems with this old red maple over here. Got all kinds of heartwood decay here, which is real common on the swamp maples from an old bark injury right here, damaging the structural integrity of the main stem. You got the bark falling off right here from this old cut right here. And also inside of this old fork right here, we got all kinds of decay. I saw a bunch of ants crawling around here. Also have a bad fork up above a rotted main stem. This is just a recipe for disaster. This lead could split out and fall towards the house. This one here could fall into the neighbor's yard.
All right, so how are you going to take it down?
Actually, we're not going to take it down. We're going to lift it up with this crane over here. Crane's up in the bucket. We're just going to attach one end of the sling to the tree and then the other end to the ball on the crane. Now Josh is going to climb up the tree about 6 feet and make a cut on the front side of the lead. Drop start his chainsaw to make the cut. Now he's making the face cut so that when he goes around the back to make a back cut, it doesn't tear when the crane lifts it off. All right, Josh is getting ready to make his back cut right now. And the crane's gonna lift it off.
All right, Matt, you got the whole lead swinging off the crane. What are you going to do with this tree now?
Oh, I'm just gonna bring the butt end of it over here and stick it in the chipper.
You're going to chip that whole thing?
Yep, this machine takes up to 18-inch wood.
Well, Matt, you and your guys made short work of that tree. Thank you.
It's our pleasure, Roger.
Hey, Roger, I think you got Tommy's little concrete truck beat between this monster and the bucket truck.
And the crane, take a look.
And the crane. Well, sure helping you make some good progress here in the backyard.
Yeah, and hopefully next week I'll be starting to build a retaining wall.
All right, and hopefully next week we're in the kitchen. Tommy's going to be framing it out and putting in some structural beams, and we're going to take our homeowner to a beautiful kitchen design showroom to help her make some decisions.
You'll be in the kitchen, I'll be in the backyard.
Till then, I'm Kevin O'Connor.
And I'm Roger Cook.
For This Old House.
Hey, need some firewood?